This presentation of Butler Arts Fest 2014, Fables, Fairy Tales, and Physics, is a co-production of Butler University and WFYI.
Impossibilities are brought to life through the arts. Underwater worlds are explored by the rippling tones of pianos and violins. The dragon of a dream glides through the air on streams of silk. And vibrant characters tell stories of love and loss through the lyrics of a song. For a few weeks each spring, Butler Arts Fest melts the weariness of winter with a dazzling lineup of exceptional artists. It's a renewal of the senses and an escape from the conventions of everyday life. Now, we invite you to escape and peer into the secret world of fables, fairy tales, and physics.
a story with special effects.
All right. Special effects.
She squinted, trying to see.
Deb and I were brought together
These
under, I don't even know what the guise was, just create something. It was like, all right, I'm still doing what's second nature to me. It's fun to incorporate a storyteller into it, but in terms of the process of what I'm doing, it's still physical and fun. I mean, as much as we're collaborating, I'm really working with the people that are hoisting me up and down. Because here it's a manual hoist, and the system's great. Like, they put together an amazing system that allows me to fly and move versus just being static in the center.
Because of what his art is, and he has those times on stage, I want him to make the most of it, to wow the audience and pull them in. He inspires me. That's why I like to look at him. And I think even during the performance, I am going to turn and watch you and talk. She was fluid as she moved away and then toward the dragon. And I'm telling the audience, this is how it's happening in the dream. Can you see it? It's something that happens in the moment, right there. And that is what art is. And that's why you want to be at something like this. Swirling with its whirl. When we met, I expressed that I wanted to talk about someone who toiled their life working and not being able to realize what they dreamt. And that is where it started. But that was important. It was sort of like the spirit of the project.
And that's what I love about this story, is how, exactly, coming into finding your inner power, and whatever that means, in whatever way you need it to encourage yourself.
But I have those moments still that I say, do I deserve that? You know.
And then you eat the cheesecake.
Bedtime was her favorite time. The woman loved going to bed. The woman was Lainey. Lainey was pretty ordinary. In almost every way, she was ordinary. She lived in the middle, not too high, not too low, in the middle. She wasn't young, but she wasn't old yet. She was not too tall, not too short. But Lainey didn't think there was anything beautiful about her. In all her life, only her mother had called her beautiful. Once, maybe twice. And her mother was gone, had been gone for 6 years, 8 months, 9 days. She was devastated to lose her mother. Lainey's mother had been her world, her whole world. Lainey's mother was a chatterbox, a rainbow of a woman. When she laughed, it was like blowing bubbles. It hung in the air. Lainey didn't have to talk when her mother was around. Her mother could just look at her and tell whatever it was Lainey needed. Lainey prayed to dream of her mother. She fell asleep thinking of her. But instead of dreaming of her mother, in her dream, she stood on the bank of a raging river. She stood there knowing somehow she must cross it. She looked about wondering where she was and why she was there. Then she saw a village behind her. It looked deserted, but she knew people were hiding because she could feel their fear, and they were more afraid than she was. She stood there knowing that she had to cross the river for them. She ran to the river, running past her fear, diving down into the waters. Cold, deep, angry, rushing, 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 rushing water. Well, rushing water, riptides that threatened to suck her away. But she, with no fear, claimed the deep, claimed the cold, claimed the angry. Swirling in its whirlpool, feeling the flow, first knowing, then slowing the rage of the river, her heart on fire with purpose. She warmed and calmed the waters. She became the river. What were these dreams? What did they mean? Slowly she put her clothes on. She didn't bother to do her hair. And she went to work, to the factory. She tried to lose herself in the work that made her back ache, her hands cramp, work that brought her no joy, work that was steady work. The time clock became her drum pulse. It seemed to pound from within her, counting off the days of her life. But she wasn't living. She wasn't living, but it was counting off the days of her life. As she worked at being ordinary, her facade was chipping away, her mask was dissolving. Lainey worried that crazy might peek through any moment. That night she was afraid to go to sleep. The dreams had renewed her pain, made it fresh. She wanted no more. She no longer prayed to dream of her mother. She prayed long and hard for peace, sleep with no dreams. But when sleep came, so did her dream. She opened her eyes. She was standing on top of the mountain. From here, the view of the river and the village were splendid. A gentle breeze caressed her skin and seemed to make all things peaceful. She was just about to whisper a prayer of thanks when a dark shadow rose up behind her, covering the land. Then a hissing sound. She whirled around and she found herself staring into the gold-green glittering eyes of a dragon. A fire-breathing dragon. The dragon, scaly, green, monstrous, lowered its head and glared into her eyes. Looking into the eyes of that dragon, she felt fight rise up in her. The dragon licked its lips, licked its tongue at her, wanting to taste her fear, but there was none. Lainey stood her ground. The dragon, turning its head from side to side, wondering why he couldn't smell the fear or taste it. She was fluid. As she moved this way, she moved that way. She was fluid because she knew how to become a river. The dragon decided to stop playing and then roared his breath of fire at her. But she became water and turned to steam. Surprised the dragon. The dragon stepped back, then whipped his tail at her, but she was steam, hot steam. He howled. She knew she had hurt him. She liked the sound of his cry. She could feel the dragon, as though some part of him was her. She knew he wanted to flee. So she embedded herself first on his scaly body. Her hands grabbed hold and she pulled at the scale, peeling away until she embedded herself in his throat. She was in the dragon. Still no fear. Still no fear. Nothing but fight. Oh, it was too late. The dragon wanted to fly away, but she wouldn't let him, because he would only come back to terrorize her another day. Inside the dragon, she expanded. She felt the dragon trying to close in on her, squeeze her out, but she wouldn't let him. Embedded in, she expanded. She expanded. Feeling him, knowing him, understanding him. He lifted his wings, but to no avail. He was too heavy with Lainey inside of him. She grew bigger. Her arms, her legs bigger, her head bigger, her heart bigger. The dragon didn't have a chance. She would go nowhere. Nowhere. She grew so big that she burst. And she stood on the mountaintop, victorious. The dragon, a steamy pile behind her. Her nightgown flowing in the breeze like a cape of a superhero. So this is how it feels to be strong. She felt golden, as though the sun was shining through her. Suddenly, she heard cheering from the village. People dancing, laughing, chanting her name. Lainey, 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 you saved us. She could hear them clearly, but she couldn't make out who they were. She looked, she squinted. They were all women. She still couldn't make out their faces. Then she remembered, she could fly. So she glided on the wind over the river and landed in the middle of the cheering women. When she landed there, she was shocked. All the women were her. All of them were her. Some were her girl self, but most of them were women that she was. Each one making her see a different point in her life, except they were all smiling. Lenny had never smiled when she'd been these women. They weren't just smiling. Their eyes shone with joy. It was me. I saved me. I delivered me. I rescued me. Anyway, the storyteller said, ending the story for that day, she lived happily ever after.
A bird in water, a whale on sand. I am the flood, the fire, the oil spill. I'm feeling scared and I am overwhelmed. And so I don my mask and finger bells. Sharon, now get to work. Sharon, this is going to hurt. Be brave, dear one. Be changed or be undone. Be brave, dear one. Be changed or be undone, undone. I'm under house arrest. I am the beater or I'm beaten for less than being punk and feeling anger swell. And so I don my beaded dress and finger bells. Sharon, now get to work. Sharon, this is going to hurt. Be brave, dear one. Be changed or be undone. Be brave, dear one. Be changed or be undone, undone. Be
I'm here in Indianapolis at Butler University doing the Russell Bennett reduction of Porgy and Bess, the concert opera of Porgy and Bess. And so I'm singing all of the female roles along with Michael Priestley, who is doing all the male roles. This is a piece that I have grown up with. Actually, I cut my teeth on Porgy and Bess here at Clues Hall on the Butler campus with the Indianapolis Opera. So Porgy and Bess is in my blood. We're old souls.
Porgy and Bess is an operetta. Some people call it an opera. When it was first premiered, critics in New York didn't know what to do. That they called it sort of a fancy, sophisticated musical. It sounded different, and the harmonies were different, and the rhythms were different, and the melodies so well wrought. And I just think that there's nothing that sort of can be compared to that because of the style of the music.
Tonight is our dress rehearsal. So this is the first time I've been in this building and sung in this intimate space. So I'm hoping that everyone will be able to stand the sounds because it's a big piece.
To read in the Bible, it ain't necessarily so. Let me tell y'all why. Little David was small, but oh my. Little David was small, but oh my. He fought big Goliath, who lay down and died. Little David was small, but oh my. Oh, what do Zimbabwe, vicious abdomen, oh Jonah, he lived in a well. Little Moses was found in a stream. Little Moses was found in a stream. He floated on water till old Pharaoh's daughter, she fished him, she says, from that stream. Oh, what you Zimbabwe. Necessarily so. It ain't necessarily so. They tell all you chillin', the devil's a villain, but ain't necessarily so. To get into heaven, don't snap for no 7, live clean, don't have no faults. Look at me, but I'll take that gospel whenever it's possible, but with a grain of salt. Methuselah lived 900 years. But who calls that living when no God are given to no man what's 900 years? I really want to know about that one. I'm preaching this sermon to show it ain't necessary. Ain't necessarily so.
People get ready to the train coming. Don't need no baggage, you just get on board. All you need is faith to hear the diesels humming. You don't need no ticket, you just thank the Lord. People are getting ready for the train to Jordan, picking up passengers from coast to coast. Faith is the key to open all doors and borders. Give it up for all. Get to the of the hopeless sinner who would hurt all mankind just to save his own. So have pity on those whose chances grow thinner, because there's no hiding place against the kingdom throne. People get ready, well, there's a train coming. You don't need no baggage, or you just get on board. All you need is just a little bit of faith to hear those Jesus arms. You don't need no ticket, or you just well, I believe. Said I believe. I believe in the Father. Oh yes I do. I believe in the Son. I believe in the Holy Ghost. Oh, they make three in one. Look here. I believe Jesus hung on the cross from the 6th to the 9th hour, and I believe in my heart that He's coming back one day. King of kings, Lord of lords. Y'all know that He is. Yeah, I do believe. Woo!
There's a lot of range of expression on the saxophone. I think it can emit a lot of emotion, and it's often an instrument that is carrying the melody, so there can be that vocal quality to it, thinking like a singer, and I think people relate. I think people relate to that. It's like, okay, now I'm going to improvise. I'm not going to stick to that dogmatically, but I am going to use a lot of thirds starting on different scale notes, and I'm going to use a lot of diatonic triads, and let's see how that sounds. 1, 2, 1, 2. I'm going to be working, improvising with the students, and trying to come to a common ground about all the basic elements. Like if we have the form secure, we have more room to take chances. It's a fun process to engage in. That's, I guess, the beauty of this particular kind of music, is that you can come in on short notice like that and have a chance to improvise and communicate together, because that's where the magic happens. My role can be sometimes encouraging them to take more chances, saying like, hey, you know, this doesn't have to be just about me soloing over you guys holding this vamp or this form. Like, feel free to interact with me more, or I'll throw out an idea and feel free to react.
This presentation of Butler Arts Fest 2014, Fables, Fairy Tales, and Physics, is a co-production of Butler University and WFYI.